So this is episode 2 of a presentation that I gave on DIY sailing electronics at the Milwaukee Community Sailing Center in January of 2025. This presentation includes information on Openplotter, on Signal K, on OpenCPN, and on KIP. If you did enjoy this and got some valuable information from it, please consider making a donation to Milwaukee Community Sailing Center. There'll be a link in the bottom of the screen here and also in the description. So in the last episode, in part 1, we configured the Raspberry Pi with a new password. We set up external access through SSH and also through VNC so we could do remote desktoping, and we set up Wi-Fi. In this episode, we're going to go through screen blanking. We're going to update the Openplotter apps. We're going to look at a Wi-Fi access point, adding a GPS device, and then we're going to talk about OpenCPN with charts, how to set up charts, split screen, some of the plugins that are available, and how to set up connection back to Signal K. We're also going to set up incoming information into Signal K from OpenCPN and talk a little bit about some of the plugins available for Signal K. So let's get going. First thing we're going to do is turn off screen blanking. Now you might ask, what's screen blanking? Well, if you think about your screensaver, one thing I don't want to happen while I'm using like the chart plotter is for the screensaver to come on. So go to Raspberry Pi configuration and then display, and then where it says screen blanking here, turn that off. So we turn that off, and now when we press OK, we won't get the screensaver kicking in and blanking the screen, which will be great. That's exactly what we want. So that's one thing. You have to reboot. I'm not going to do that just now because I want to show you something else at the same time. So we'll do that in a minute. The next thing I want to show you is in the Openplotter menu, you have this tool here called settings, right? So we're going to look at the settings. And what it says is basically these are all the apps that you can install, and right now it says refresh. So we're going to hit refresh, and what it's going to do is it's basically going to find a list of apps that are already there. There are different versions that are available, so all these here with install pending tasks, you should install those. And then there are other things that have not yet been installed, like the I2C sensor application and the GPIO application have not been installed. And later, if you want to go on down the path of the SDR VHF, which is what you would use to receive AIS, then you can do that as well. So what I'm going to do right now is I am basically going to start installing all this stuff. I'm going to restart the settings app and then press refresh again. So once you've installed all the ones that say install, you might find something like this where it says open to apply and refresh. So basically then you want to go in here, Openplotter and Signal K installer. So then once it's open, you'll see this message. This application has been updated recently and needs to configure your system to work properly. So press start and then wait for it to finish. Then once it's finished, you can basically close the window and open the app up again. So go to Openplotter and Signal K installer. Okay, and now it gives you all the settings for signal K, and you can set your vessel data here. So if you click on this, it will open a signal K window and ask you to create an admin account. I always think that this is better to set it exactly the same as your normal login, but that's just me. So I'm going to set this to the same login credentials, username pi, and then the password you used previously. Then you can log in. So go back to the Signal K installer and close that, and then go to settings and then press refresh, and you'll see that message should disappear. And what we're going to do is we're going to add the I2C sensor app, and we're going to add the GPIO app. Those we're going to use for something later. And then when that's complete, again, go back to Openplotter apps and press refresh. So that's all you need to do in here. So we're going to exit out of this, and then we're going to go and we're going to do the reboot that we should have done earlier. So if you want to set up a wireless access point, i.e. a point where people can log directly into the device, then you can do that through Openplotter and through the Raspberry Pi in general. Now, Openplotter used to have its own app to do this. This year, they've changed that so that you basically are using the Raspberry Pi app itself. So in here, if you left click here and go into advanced options, you see that there is create wireless hotspot. If you click on that and then put in a network name like Boat Pi, and then set the security to something like WPA here, set the password. Again, you can set whatever you like here. And create. So now there is a wireless hotspot that people can log on to and then get into the system. So if you look on a different device at what Wi-Fi hotspots are available or what SSIDs are available, you can see here that Boat Pi is available. So it's as simple as that. So we've got our Raspberry Pi here, and what we're going to do is we're going to add a GPS module. Now this is a BU353. I've had this for a while, and there's one of them on Après, and this is a spare I have. And really it's a USB, so you just plug it in to the USB port, and then we set it up. So we're going to go and do some software stuff, and I'm going to walk you through that. What I am going to do is I'm not going to power it up here. I'm going to take this upstairs because right now I'm in the basement, and we don't get a good GPS signal in the basement. So I'm going to take it upstairs and put it on a windowsill. And once the device is plugged in, I'm going to go here and go to Openplotter and go to serial because it's a USB. So here there'll be a list of all the devices you've got plugged in. It's better to look at this list before you plug in the USB GPS dongle, and then find the one that was added when you do plug it in. So if you plug it in and press refresh, you'll see it added. I've only got one connected, and that's the USB dongle. So I'm going to connect that. I'm going to give it an alias here. I'm going to say it's a GPS. And then I am going to tell it what type of information is coming in. Is it NMEA 0183, NMEA 2000, or signal K? And in most of the cases, when it comes to this sort of device, it is 0183. So click on 0183 and leave the rest of the defaults as they are, and then press apply. Now what we're going to do is go to the connection tab. So here we're going to click on the connection tab here, and our device is there. It tells us that it's USB 0 and its alias is GPS and what sort of data it is, but there's no connection, no ID, and no speed. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight the device, and then we're going to say add to signal K. So when we press that, it's going to ask us the speed. Now this is a pretty straightforward unit, so its speed is 4800. You'll have to look at the data for this device and find it, and then what we're going to do is we're going to automatically add the information to signal K. So what this will do is create a connection between the USB device and signal K so that the data can be brought into signal K. So hit auto. What should happen is the signal K server will be updated and then it will restart. And what we're going to do is we're going to go and look at that. Now, there are several ways you can do it. You can go here and go down to Openplotter and click on signal K, or you can open an internet window. It's the same thing. Basically, if you click on signal K, it opens a browser window and open signal K. For now, we're going to maximize this. Okay, and what you'll find in here, this is all the items that are added. You'll find you've got GPS, and you can already see connection activity up here that something is coming in from GPS. So what we can do very quickly, you can go to data browser here, and in data browser, it's telling you what you have. So right now, course over ground, true, null. So there's no course over ground information coming in. We've got a date and time coming in from the GPS device, and we've got 4 satellites. Now, I am inside, even though I said I would try and get it as close to the window as possible. It is just on the windowsill. I might throw it outside, but it is raining. So I don't have a position right now. I don't have a position for us. So latitude and longitude is null. Age of service in milliseconds, I think. If you want to learn how to read this, basically what you can see here is that you have this, which is, it says path here, but these are what we call deltas. So you've got deltas here, then you've got the value, then you've got the unit. So this is radians. It's an SI unit for angle. And then you've got the timestamp. So you can look at this and say, when was the last time I got a piece of information? And then here is the device, gps.gp, and RMC is the message. So that is the NMEA 0183 message that this information is coming from. This message here is GSV, and those are the messages you get from this device. We don't have enough satellites yet. Sometime later, we've managed to get a GPS fix. As you can see here, you can see where it says GNSS fix. We've got data like altitude, we've got navigation, course over ground, and we have 10 satellites connected. 6 of them have a GNSS connection. And here we have the latitude and the longitude. So if you want to use your Raspberry Pi and your Openplotter install as a chart plotter, you're going to want to use OpenCPN. So what we're going to do now is take a look at OpenCPN and set it up for the first time. So if you click on the Raspberry and down to Openplotter and go to OpenCPN. Once you open it, you'll see basically a yellow and blue area. Now what you're most likely to see is basically the coordinate 0, 0. I've been in here before, so I moved it, and here you can sort of see the Great Lakes, right? So you can see Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, Erie, and Ontario, and Superior here. Now, as you can see, they're not very well detailed. So the first thing we're going to do is change that. So we're going to go to the settings or options icon here, and we're going to click it, and we're going to get this area here, and we're going to go to charts. When we get to charts, we're going to scroll across to chart downloader, and we're going to add a catalog. So the first catalog that we're going to add is a base map. So this is a world base map, so it will give you better resolution for any coastline anywhere in the world. So we're going to double click on there and click there and press OK. That will then add it to here. The first thing you want to do is update this, and it will update it, and it will show you all the charts that are available. Now there's a crude resolution one, a low resolution one, an intermediate, a high, and a full resolution. They don't take up very much space. I would suggest you add them all. And then download selected charts. Now this may take a little bit of time, depends how fast your connection is. This is better done at home versus out on the Pi if you're going to be tethered to a phone or something like that. Okay, so once it's complete, now we're going to press apply, and what you'll see straight away, and I'll just press OK, is a much better resolution image of the Great Lakes in my case. So it's pretty amazingly different really from what it was to what it is now. And we can zoom in and zoom in a little bit. You can press the zoom here. If you've got a touch screen, you can zoom by using your fingers, and basically, so you can press the buttons here, or you can zoom with a mouse with a roller. You can roll as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to basically add all the maps for Wisconsin. So it should be most of this area here to the middle of the lake. So we're going to go into options again, and we're already still in charts here. We're going to go to chart downloader. We're going to go back to select a catalog. We're going to go to add a catalog. We're going to pick USA NOAA charts here. And now these are raster images, and these are vector images. The vector charts are better for zooming in, and they're also faster in general. You can do it by Coast Guard regions or districts. You can do it by states. I'm going to do it by states in this case. I'm going to go down. I'm going to find Wisconsin, and I'm just going to add Wisconsin and press OK. Now I'm going to update, and then basically what you'll see here is all the different charts of Wisconsin here. There are 134 of them, and we are going to download all the selected charts. Why it says out of date and it says the date is 6/21, which is yesterday, I don't know. I can't answer that. Okay, so we've done that now, and we're going to press OK, and we should start to see detail. Okay. So you can see now, here's Milwaukee, and if we zoom in, you'll get more and more detail. So now you've got your maps installed, and you're able to zoom in and pan around and things like that, and you get used to that. You'll start to see if you've got a satellite connection to the GPS, you will see the location of your boat on the screen where it is. The Pi is currently back in the basement, so we don't have a current position. What I will show you though is a few other items while we're in OpenCPN. Another item to look at here is display. So in here you can have the single display like we've had on the screen, or you can actually separate the screen like this. So if we apply this, what that gives you is it gives you two separate screens, both OpenCPN, both with the cursor where you are supposed to be, but you can basically go for two different levels of, so you can have a really close in view of yourself here and a really far out view of yourself over here. Now obviously the maps show up on both, so if I go across a little bit to where we are here and zoom in on Wisconsin and Milwaukee Bay, you'll see the maps are there, right? So we can basically, we could, say we wanted to see the whole area out here, and also close in right here, we could do the same thing like this. I don't use that because I basically have half the screen and I use the other half of the screen for dashboards. So I'm going to turn that back off. Back in here, I'm going to do a couple more things. It's important to have the connections set up right. Now, it comes automatically connected with signal K. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a second connection, and we're going to add an outgoing connection. And the reason we're doing this is because if you were to plan a route on here, say you wanted to go from the boat to 2 miles further away, wherever that is, you'd want to know certain information and you want to send that information back to signal K. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a connection to do that. So add connection, and what we're going to do is we're going to say it's a UDP connection, and the address is localhost. So that's this machine. So pick a data port. I'm going to use 10.11.1, and then scroll down here and then go down to here and unclick the receive on this port and output on this port. Okay, so this really, what you're doing is we're going to send out some information from OpenCPN back to signal K. And what we're going to send is we're going to send certain terms. And the terms we're going to send are RMB, APB, and XTE. And these 3 sentences are associated with route planning and outgoing routes, basically, which is really what you're going to use OpenCPN for. APB is the autopilot data. XT is cross-track error, so that's like how much error there is in your track that you're doing. And RMB is some navigation information about the next waypoint. So we are going to apply that, and you'll see now you've got this one as an input and that one as an output. So basically you've got an input and output here now. There is a corresponding input into signal K that you need to configure, and we're going to do that in a few minutes. If you want to learn more about OpenCPN, here are some basics. So this is how you would create a route. So if you click on this icon here, you can click, I want to go from there, and I want to go to here, and then we'll go to here, and you can adjust these positions to wherever you want. These could be waypoints, and you can then go to like end route, and it will show you, there you go, that's the route that you're going to do. Now once you get close to this, you can basically go activate route. So you can activate route, and you'll get some information here about the route that you're on. And this information is the same information that we were just talking about, that it will be transmitted back to signal K, so that you can use it in some of your other dashboards. But for now, we're just gonna stop that. So we're gonna deactivate, right click, deactivate. This one here is the route manager. So we just did a route. We haven't called it anything, but you can see there's an unnamed route. And if we were to click on this unnamed route and give the properties, it tells you that there are 3 points, and it tells you what the distances are between each one. So these are the distance between each one, and this is the total distance. It also tells you here that if you were at 6 knots, it would take you 16 minutes and 51 seconds. And if you departed at such time, you would get to, it would basically give you when you would get there, or ETA right here. But we can say Milwaukee Bay route. Now I would do things like, this is a certain race or whatever. Now when we press OK, it changes to Milwaukee Bay route. And if you hover over it, and you probably can't do this until you OK this, I'm going to just OK that. If I hover over it and right click, it tells us it's Milwaukee Bay route. So we can go here. If we wanted to declutter, because as soon as you've got 5 or 6 of these in front of you, you might want to declutter them. You can basically just not show them like that, and they'll disappear. So that's the route manager. You can as well. You can start a route from the route manager. So you could pick a route. Say I want to do that one, and then activate it right here. You can reverse the direction if you wanted to go the other way, and you can export it, which is good. So you could send it, and you can put the GPX file that it creates. You can put that on a SD card, and you can import it into something like a Raymarine, Axiom, or something like that. The next one is tracks. So I put this on sometimes to watch our performance and how straight we're tracking. And basically what it will do is it will just show you where you're going and where you're going to, and draw a line behind the boat. Here, this is day and night mode, and it actually has 4 different modes, but 2 of them are the same. So it has day mode, which is the first version we had, and then this is like dusk mode, and then it has night mode. Oops, not the right one. And it has night mode, and then it has morning mode, and then it has day mode again. Here you can print your charts, and then basically this is the world magnetic model. It's telling you what the magnetic model is, the difference on the chart difference between what true north and what magnetic north is. And then this one is the man overboard. If you click on this, it will drop a man overboard marker and basically try and navigate you to that point. So if you do have a man overboard, you click this, and then everything will try to put you back to that point. It will make that the route, the priority route. There are other things you can add to here, and we do. If you go to options again, there are these things here called plugins. Now I only have these 4 plugins actually loaded right now, and 2 of them are not enabled, but you can enable them. And there are lots of other plugins available, and if you go to update the plugin master catalog, you'll see a lot more. So there are all sorts of different things that you can, some people like to see an AIS radar. If you've got an AIS input into your system, you'll see all these little triangles, little green triangles, and you can basically see it on a radar screen. There's autopilot stuff in here that you can use, tides. There are some things that help you with races, like countdown timers and stuff like that. There's an engine dashboard, and you can add a bunch of these. Really, there's only a couple that I actually use in here, and I use this status bar, and I use Squiddo. And Squiddo is like better points of interest, so it gives you more points of interest on the map. And then status bar, which is basically very similar to this, but it's more configurable. You've already got one on the bottom. You can turn that off and put this one in instead, which is a bit more configurable. OpenCPN for really beginners, really. There's a lot more features available, but that should get you going and get you into using it. So what we've got to do now is we've got to add a link from OpenCPN to SignalK. Now we've already established the outgoing one from here, so now we're going to go to SignalK either through the web browser directly with an address or through here and click on SignalK. It really is the same thing. What we're going to look at first here is server and data connections. First select the data type, and in our case that's NMEA 0183. Then go down to the ID and type in something that you remember, like OpenCPN out. The type of source is UDP that we selected when we set this up in OpenCPN. The port was 10.11.1, and then leave everything else the same. So validate checksum is yes, the rest are all off. And we press apply. Once we press apply, we can say OpenCPN out is right there. If we restart, the dashboard then reloads, and you can see OpenCPN out is listed here. There is no data coming from it right now, but if we were to switch over to OpenCPN and we were to activate this route, and then we go back to SignalK, what we'll see is there are some deltas coming in from SignalK. And if we look here, we will be able to see information coming from OpenCPN. So OpenCPN out, all of these are coming from OpenCPN. And what we've got is things like bearing origin to destination, track true, the cross-check error, and basically just things like next point ID and stuff like that for understanding where the points are. Next point position, it tells you the position here, latitude and longitude of that position. So you've got some information here, and if you had a dashboard up, you could show that. There are some apps, so there is an app store here, and when we click on that, it will give you a list of applications that are installed or the plugins that are installed. So for me, if we look at this, this is a brand new install. It came automatically pre-installed with these add-ons, and really there are a couple more that I would suggest adding to all installs. One of those is one called derived data. So SignalK derived data. So what we're going to do is we're going to install that now. So we watch it here, look for it installing. So once it's installed, then you need to restart. So we're going to restart again. So now if we go to the server and then go to plugin config here, if you go to derived data, click on here, what you've got here is there are a bunch of boxes here at the bottom, and you can turn on any of these items. Some of the course data is not quite there as standard with any of the tools that we've looked at so far. Things like true course over ground, it basically comes from course over ground magnetic and navigation magnetic variation. Well, there actually is nowhere that magnetic variation comes from apart from here. So if you click on this, if the system knows the position of the boat, it will list an item for magnetic variation, which is quite interesting because most of the other tools use magnetic variation to get either true or a magnetic from the other one. So always turn that one on. There's a couple of items in here that I wrote as well. Things like estimated time of arrival at next waypoint. It also gives you here the it gives you the time to go basically as well. This one here gives you estimated steer error. So if you're pointing in one direction and your course is in another direction, the angle between those two is your steer error, and it will give you, steer to port error or steer to starboard error, or it'll give you a single value that is positive or negative that you can use for various calculations. So once you've clicked the ones you want, you're going to press submit. Now that will be active and enabled. So hopefully you found this interesting. If you have any questions or anything to discuss, please put that in the comments on the YouTube video and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and comment.